Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. Okay, this is going to be a reading on the Supreme Court and SNAP benefits. I record this on Friday evening at just a little before 7 p.m. The last 2 days, Thursday evening and all day today, I was at Linda's little spiritual retreat that she's doing in Benicia, California. You've got Linda and Mel, Kirsten Langston, and a few other intuitives that are doing a 2 full day seminar. Thursday night was kind of a cocktail break the ice night. And today was the first full day of readings and such that were going on. Had a good time. Met a number of people who watch this channel. So that was fun, getting to put names to faces and such like that. And I was in a group that were getting readings, little 6-minute readings from Linda today. So I brought my cards with me, and I was just doing readings for folks at the tables while we're all waiting to have our turn with Linda. It was a good time, and looking forward to tomorrow. Tomorrow's the last day, and I'll have a reading with Mel, and that ought to be fun too. It was announced during the session today that the courts ruled that SNAP had to be funded, and the Trump administration went to an appeals court, and the appeals court failed to suspend the judge's order. So SNAP benefits had to be paid. The Trump administration then went to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson issued an order pausing the requirement to distribute full SNAP payments until the appeals court rules on whether to issue a more lasting pause. In this article, it doesn't say what the pause was. It says the administration asked an appeals court to suspend any court orders requiring it to spend more money than is available in a contingency fund and instead allow it to continue with partial SNAP payments for the month. The appeals court declined to immediately intervene. And I guess Judge Brown is trying to determine if they want to do something more than immediately intervening. I imagine that this is the legally correct thing to do. Morally, ethically, it feels like a really shitty thing to do. But I'm not a lawyer, nor am I a judge, and I'm not required to interpret laws and such things as that. I will be willing to give excuse me, Miss Jackson the benefit of the doubt on this one, because I suspect this is not something she wanted to rule on, which probably means she had to rule on what the actual law is. So again, this is going to allow the federal government to give partial the requirement is to distribute full SNAP benefits. So either the federal government's not going to give any SNAP benefits, or it will give partial benefits. Knowing this federal government, it would be no benefits. Her order remains in place till 48 hours after the appeals court rules. So the appeals court could say, yeah, we're not doing anything different, carry on. And then 48 hours after they make that ruling, full SNAP needs to be funded. That 48 hours, though, gives the Trump administration time to go back to the Supreme Court and appeal this further. So some SNAP benefits got paid. There's going to probably likely be a halt, at least in full payments. And this administration has signaled that they don't want to make any payments. So I would assume nothing else is going on until the appeals court rules and the Trump administration goes to the Supreme Court. Let's read on the energy what's going on with SNAP benefits now that there's been a delay in the full funding of SNAP benefits. Mind you, according to this article, some states moved quickly and got full SNAP benefits. About a half a dozen states were able to get in there. Wisconsin got in there, Oregon, Hawaii, California, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Washington State also moved quickly to get their benefits. Other states didn't move that quickly. So, again, looking at the energy around this ruling with SNAP benefits, what do we have? We have the King of Cups. This is a card of compassion, maturity, taking care of folks, and crossed with the Knight of Wands, planning, going forward with the plan, a slow and steady plan. And then we have the Strength card underneath. Play to one's strengths, mastery. Not quite, I mean, this could also be the crybaby, which we would use to describe the current president of the United States. But, yes, my dear. Yeah, come here. I've got a cat who is hungry. Hang on for a second. Okay, we're back. Adjust the cat. I'm not quite sure what this is. This could be either Miss Ketanji doing allowing the courts to proceed as the courts will do because the law is the strength of the country. That's one way to interpret this. The alternative one is the crybaby is showing a show of force because he's being forced to do something he doesn't want to do. That fits too. In the past, you got the Seven of Swords, and I'm feeling it's the latter because of the way the cards are coming up. Sneaking around, trying to get away with something, skullduggery in the background. Current situation, the Ten of Wands, the burden, the heavy burden. Actually, I think this might be Miss Jackson. This was not an easy decision for her to make on this one. Overarching energy. It could be both. This could be a later reading. Is, giving money and giving it to the poor that need it. The poor that are being thrown under the bus. Part of the problem is that the laws are the laws. We have to do this, and we have to go through the process. So I think from her point of view, this was the decision that needs to be made. The courts go through a process. The law is the strength of the land. Seven of Swords. She understands what's happening and disagrees with it. But the burden of her job is such that she has to rule on the law fairly, whether she likes it or not, and will let the law take care of it. The problem is that this thing moves slowly. Trump is having a tantrum because he's being forced to do something he doesn't want to do. So he plays to his strength, which is go to the Supreme Court, who he's bought and paid for. And he makes their life difficult, but they owe him, and they have to rule in his favor to appease him, and then let the legal process come through. This is kind of there might be another interpretation there that I'm missing on this one. But long and short of it, the people that are hurt most with this are these folks right here. The ones that actually need the money. They're kind of the voiceless folks in society because they don't have a lot of money, therefore they don't have a lot of political pull. They're the pawns in this game. Will that appeals court rule the same? I guess when they give a further ruling, I don't know what the further ruling would entail. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't really speak to this. But will they reaffirm their current ruling? I got a bunch of cards coming out here. I think they just fell out, so I'm going to just put them back in and I'll keep shuffling without looking at them. Will this appeals court do anything to change their ruling? Will they rule the same? Will they rule the same? I'm kind of more focusing, will they rule the same? Yeah, I think they will. They'll just have to clarify. I think they have to clarify their ruling. I wonder if this is one of those instances where Trump's going to say, we want an en banc appeals court. Like maybe only a 3-person panel of the appeals court ruled. And they're going to want the full appeals court to rule on this. I think the appeals court's going to uphold their initial ruling on this one. Is that right? Certainly they're going to uphold it. There's judgment here, but the Fool card could be a new beginning. This could be that they take it back and decide to go en banc or something along those lines. There might be a new path that they take here. They might have to do this because they don't want to be scapegoated. My initial reaction is that they will rule the same way. But this card makes me feel like they have to start again. Whether it's en banc or they just have to clarify their ruling. It could be something as simple as they have to clarify their ruling in such a way that it can't be misinterpreted to comply with the judgment that was made by the Supreme Court. Probably they have to clarify their position. Will they have to go en banc? Will they have to bring more members of the appeals court in if they weren't already a full appeals? Now, I'm assuming that this was like a 3-person appeals court. Maybe it was the full court. But will they have to have the full court rule? If they already did, then this question is moot. 2 of Wands. King of Wands. 8 of Wands. The Devil card. The Empress. The 2 of Wands. Moving quickly with their decision on corruption, on the corrupt act. And underneath is the Empress. This could be Miss Jackson Brown here. I think, well, it may not be answering. I think that they're going to respond quickly to the information that she wanted to give another ruling on this. I don't think it's going to be an en banc type thing. I think that they're going to reaffirm their ruling. That previous spread with the Fool card center underneath it probably is they have to rewrite what they wrote. You know, be more clear. All right. 48 hours after that happens, the Trump administration gets to appeal to the Supreme Court. For Carter, will they appeal to the Supreme Court? I don't have to throw cards on this one. We all know what the answer is, right? They already went to the Supreme Court once. Do you think they're going to take no for an answer? Do we really think that's going to happen? But let's at least ask the question. You know, maybe Donald Trump has an exploding aneurysm in his brain and they can't do it. No, we can always hope, right? King of Cups. Isn't that my foundation card? Okay, so this is Donald Trump having a tantrum. The Knight of Wands. There was that card over there, right? Part of the plan. Tantrum Man's having a tantrum. Corrupt tantrum. 2 of Coins. Talk about somebody who doesn't like to be told what to do. Not getting his way. And underlying is the nightmare, the anxiety. Is he going to go back to Supreme? Yeah, the answer is yes. He just can't believe that they're not doing what he tells them to do. His corrupt little acts. It's all part of the plan. This is all about delay, delay, delay. Yeah, he's going back there. That 9 of Swords could very well be that he doesn't get very far with the Supreme Court, but he's going to go back to the Supreme Court with this. Ultimately, how will the Supreme Court rule? Will they overturn the stay? Will they let the stay stay? How will the Supreme Court rule on this? Will the Supreme... I mean, is this case even worthy of the Supreme Court? Maybe we'll get one of those unsigned memos that tells you what to do. There's a victory here. 5 of Swords, winner takes all. And underneath is the minor disappointment card, the minor loss card. That doesn't tell me because I don't know who's winning. In the past, Knight of Swords comes back to the Supreme Court quickly. They discuss the actions to take, talking about people being locked out of the system, needing food and such things as that. Lesson we learn is the King of Swords. Harsh truth, making tough decisions on this one. And the outcome is the 3 of Coins. I feel like... Okay, I'm a little confused with this one, and here's why. The 6 of Wands could be there's 6 people that agree, and 3 people are sent back to the drawing board, which would suggest that the Republicans, the conservative majority, gets their say on things. I mean, the 6 could very well be that it's the 3 liberal justices and 3 other justices rule that that you can't do that. Here's another way to look at it, is that there's a victory for partial payments. So here's the victory, but the challenge of the victory is the full payments. The 5 of Swords is no compromise. It's all or nothing. It could very well be that, and there's disappointment underneath here, it could be that they order the payments, but the payments are only partial payments under like a timeline that the government gets to decide. And then we're back to, they're only funding a part of it, and it's just going to take them a long time to get that money out, even though a federal judge said get it out right away. And guess what? They were able to get it out right away. So you can't really make the argument that you're not able to get the money into those accounts quickly, because when a federal judge is done fooling with you, you have to do what they say. Maybe folks in that administration understand, in that part of the administration understand that the judges don't play and they don't want to go to jail or go to prison for disobeying an order from a judge. It means more to them than Trump getting mad at him and sending out a mean tweet. All right. I asked this the other day, and I'll ask it again. Will the Supreme Court reestablish SNAP funding by Thanksgiving? 4 Carter. Sun card. Revelation. 7 of Wands fighting. It's much better than the last time I read on this. The Emperor. And the 5 of Coins. And the 9 of Cups. Will they issue SNAP funding to be done before Thanksgiving? We have a truth. This is a yes card. This is like the judge overseeing it, telling him it needs to be done. Fighting from a position of advantage. The big organizations helping people out in the cold. Hopes, wishes, dreams fulfilled. I think so. So, I was at dinner this evening with some of the folks in the seminar, and they were asking me, might have been at dinner, might have been during the table, I was talking with a lot of people, if my cards are consistent. And they often are, although this time, that's not what I was saying. I think I did this reading like 2 days ago, and it looked like the SNAP benefits would be delayed till after Thanksgiving. And I think that was true given the fact that there was no judge over there forcing the Trump administration to do that, because the Trump administration was basically signaling that if we're left to our own devices, that's when people are going to get paid. Judge came in and said, yeah, that doesn't fly with me. You will fully fund it by the end of Wednesday. I want to see those payments going out. And those payments, I think, went out today on Friday. So the administration did get some payments out, and their appeal went in. The appeal got denied. Trump goes to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court puts a stay in place until the appeals court rules further. And then 48 hours after that, Trump can appeal to the Supreme Court again. Now, I asked, will people get their SNAP benefits by Thanksgiving? And the answer looks like yes, they will. So because a judge made a call saying, stop, I'm not going to let you just run roughshod over me. You will do this. It's speeding up the legal process. And I think people will get their SNAP funding in the next 3 weeks or so. But that's subject to change depending on how things vote. That's just how the energy looks now. Okay? Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. This reading is for entertainment purposes only, but I hope you found it insightful, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.